Greetings, this is Andrew Baker from Brainwave Consulting Company. Okay, so in the past, I mentioned that segregation of duties is an important consideration in an organization, even if you're a small business. Well, here's one way that you should consider implementing segregation of duties in a way that's cost effective to your organization. One of the people that you should bring into an organization early is someone who's going to be responsible for certain aspects of security. Now, everyone can't afford on day one or early in the business cycle to bring in a chief information security officer or even sometimes a senior security analyst. But you can bring in someone. You may have some of the security duties, or at least the implementation of it, assigned to your IT manager and so forth. But you can bring in an entry-level worker who's interested in information security and information technology, and bring them in to manage the tools themselves, right? To look at the tools, look at the logs, understand the risks, and explain that to you. You bring in someone like that, it doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. Trust me, there'll be a ton of work for this person to do. So you don't have to feel like, oh, I'm bringing in this person and all they're going to do is look at a couple of logs. If you put in the right tools, especially, visibility, that's the thing I'm going to harp on a lot. If you are using a visibility strategy, if you're making sure that you have tools that are looking at things, tracking things, putting things into place, and you do that, you're going to need somebody watching this, because it's kind of useless. I won't say useless. It's great for forensics. If you put cameras, let's look at it from a physical perspective, right? If you have an area that you feel requires monitoring, and you put video cameras all over that area, but then no one's watching the cameras, people are still going to manage to break in. Now, what's good is when you notice something is lost or stolen, you can send someone to look at the videotape, and then you're like, oh, we see when it happened, right? Don't be that guy. But having the tools is still better than just realizing things are stolen and you don't know when and how much and how often or anything of the sort, right? So what you want to do there is you put tools in place from a cybersecurity level, and you put a person on it. And that person, don't give your high-end folks the extra work of looking at that stuff. They won't be able to. They're not going to have the time for it, and it's going to fall by the wayside. Instead, you put an entry-level person on that, somebody who's going to learn security from the ground up, someone who's going to understand how it's applied, someone who's going to get a much better sense of risk management, what it is to balance the risks of, I still need to run this business but I need it protected, right? And they're not just going to be theoretical and choosing extreme options. They'll understand the need to keep the business going, but in a way that is secure so that the business can remain compliant and customers aren't going to flee, and there aren't going to be liability issues with the loss of data and so forth. That person is going to help you as well as a business owner, because what you're going to do with that person is you're going to put some time on your calendar and say, hey, listen, I need you to summarize for me, what you're finding, on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis, monthly basis, whatever it is that makes sense for your organization and your schedule. Do that. This person is going to grow. You're going to help this person grow. They're going to understand the business better. They're going to understand your environment and its risks. They will help communicate those to you. You're going to make better decisions. And you would have done it for a relatively low cost and still enabled segregation of duties in many cases. So it's an awesome way to get it in there, and having someone looking at it. Trust me, you'll make a lot better decisions about cybersecurity, data privacy, etc., when you have someone looking at data that's relative to your environment. Without fail, whenever I help an organization put in the right tools for their business case to monitor whether it is user traffic, end user behavior, whether it is looking at firewall logs, whether it is just looking at at the various threats and risks that come across the environment. Once you put that stuff in, there are a whole set of questions that you start to ask. Whoa, I didn't know we had that problem. I didn't know this was going on with that kind of frequency. And you also find out things that you don't need to spend money on because they're not happening with that kind of regularity in your environment. So it's important for you to know what the right things are to look at, have someone looking at them, and have that person be, you don't have to spend a lot of money to start them up. I'm not saying that you should go down the, don't be stingy with money, but start with someone who's going to grow with your business. And as that knowledge is gained, it's going to be beneficial for you and for them career-wise. Thank you for your time. Speak to you later.